Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the January 31st meeting of the Oklahoma City Water Utilities Trust. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the January 17th meeting. They're in your packet. Any questions or comments regarding the minutes? Is there a motion for approval? We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And it is approved. Next up is the consent docket. It contains a number of things today. There's a grant request with the Water Resources Board. There's a couple of change orders. There's an item with the COTPA for bus rapid transit, some requests for proposals, engineering negotiations, some easements. Anything on the consent docket that the trustees would care to pull for individual consideration? Seeing none, is there a motion for approval?
Trustee Stonecipher.
Mark? Or a Todd? Oh, it's Mark. And it passes. Next up is the concurrence item. There's one item. It's a contract with Redlands Contracting for street improvements. No AQUIT funds are involved. Is there a motion for approval? Motion is second. Please vote. And it's approved. There are no emergency construction contracts this afternoon. There is one item for individual consideration. It's to receive an application from Scissortail Development Group for a oversized water extension under Policy A. Mr. General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a section of line that's about 2,300 feet in length, where typically we ask for a 12-inch water main as a minimum size, and in this case we need a 16. So we're paying the differential between the 16 and the 20 and the 12-inch main. Total cost to AQUIT would be $27,372. We recommend approval.
Okay, so for the general concept of Policy A is that we have minimum standards, and the minimum standard is 12-inch. But for our system needs, we really want a 16-inch
Yes,
put
sir.
in there. But that isn't necessarily the burden of the developer to put that in, because he only needs to put in the 12. So to put the 16 in, we pay the difference.
Yes.
All right. Is there a motion?
One thing I noticed, and it says estimated completion date of December 2022. Is that December 2023?
I believe probably you are correct.
Okay. I don't know if that makes any difference.
We will verify.
Where is that?
Okay, do we have a motion? We do have a motion second. Please vote. And it passes unanimously. Any items from trustees this afternoon? With the, I have a quick question. I should have asked this ahead of time. But with the cold weather, are we seeing has it been a long enough duration of cold weather or severe enough that we're seeing an uptick on water main breaks?
No, sir. We have not seen any significant impact from the storm so far, knock on wood, but everything's been as normal at our treatment facilities and our water sewer systems.
Okay,
Now,
thank you.
trash collection was delayed until Saturday,
Right.
so that's the only impact that we've experienced so far.
Very good. So moving to general manager reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a presentation today. Leanne Kitzmiller is our environmental compliance manager, and she would like to give a short presentation on our lead service line replacement program that is mandated by EPA. So she's going to tell everybody where we are with the program.
Hello.
Leanne?
So I'm going to give you guys a quick briefing on the lead service line project. How's it go? Okay. So the lead and copper rule revisions, the EPA put a new regulation in place. They made it effective in December of 2021. And the original one was the lead and copper rule that was put in place in 1991. And this one, now the water utilities are required to create and maintain a lead service line inventory. And it will have to be completed by October 16th of 2024. And it'll have to be accessible to the public, and it'll be updated every year annually as we update it. And along with this, we have been coordinating with the Department of Environmental Quality on our line validation process. And we've met with them several times to get their approval on our processes that we're trying to implement. Also with their inventory requirements and the development of the state guidelines. So the first step in it, we did a desktop study. And the desktop study is we looked at approximately 255,000 addresses. And we took some logical assumptions, and we used different data sets to characterize those based on the guidelines given in the lead and copper rule revisions. They were either classified as lead, galvanized requiring replacement, non-lead, or copper. And we looked at all those different data sets. For example, the year built, since lead was banned in 1986, we could assume that any houses built after 1986 would not do lead. So there were some other assumptions similar to that used to classify all the service lines into the material types. So our GIS team created some heat maps. And so the heat maps you can see on one side is the lead. And so that basically just heat maps it based on how many are in that specific area. And then on the right side, you can see that there's the galvanized requiring replacements. And we'll use that on the study that we're going to do following up on this. So the first thing we're going to do is the service line identification. And so in March of 2022, we notified the OWRB that we had year one program needs, and we were put on their priority list. And our plan is to apply for a OWRB loan using the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. And we're going to ask for $1.75 million, and that is estimated to be a 33% loan forgiveness for the first year. So our phase one is going to be the identification via a potholing project. It's going to be a 6-month pilot program, and we're going to identify 5,500 service lines during that time. And we're going to use those heat maps that were previously shown to kind of identify the areas that we're going to focus on during that pilot program to either validate or data that was assumed during our logical assumption desktop study. We're going to identify both the customer and the utility side during that. And then through this whole project, there's going to be about 164,000 service lines that will be identified. And this shows you where we came up with that 164,000 number that we got. You can see the blue is the non-lead lines, the yellow and the orange. The yellow is the galvanized requiring replacement, and the orange is the lead. So if you take those numbers, the yellow and the orange added up, that is where we get the 164,000 that we're going to do for the full study. So currently, we have the Esri with our GIS, they're configuring a software that we're going to have. This will be on a web page, and it'll be online by October 2024 when this goes into place. And the public will be able to go to this website, and they'll be able to look in their address, and they'll be able to see what the utility side is and what the customer side is, whether they have lead or they don't have lead. And this is first being uploaded with our assumed inventory, and as we do the potholing project, this will be updated like in a real-time basis as they're verified. And then after our phase one pilot project continues on, we'll continue on with more potholing so we can get this entire inventory updated. And that is all. Any questions?
Yeah, how do you perform the potholing? Are you just going to go to find a spot 6 feet down from the meter, or?
What the ODQ would like to see is both sides of the meter, so that we'll pothole down on both sides of the meter and physically verify the pipe material.
So, but are you going to go out, is there a specific distance you can go, or can you just go, 6 inches?
Yeah, it'll be a couple of feet on either side of the meter.
Okay, a couple feet on the side of the meter, could be in the street.
It could.
Yeah. All right.
So what we're trying to do here is verify our assumptions or qualify our assumptions. So it will be a pretty lengthy project, and then we'll identify the areas that we need to focus on and build a replacement plan accordingly. Now, the challenge will be once we find these areas. I mean, we can take care of the city side, but without taking care of the customer side as well, it's really not very effective. And my position has been with everyone who I've had a conversation with, regulators and others in the industry, is, you know, we can't provide the service on the customer side. So somehow or another, there has to be a framework to enable a refund or some provision to enable folks to replace that line, but we physically can't do it. We can manage the program, but we can't do the work. And so I think that's going to be the biggest challenge throughout the industry. And, you know, as a matter of fact, if we go out and spend a lot of money replacing the service lines on our side, and then the lines on the other side don't get replaced, it really won't be much benefit.
That's correct.
So we're still having that conversation with the regulatory agencies.
Because the length of the service line, depending upon which side of the street the main's on, would run from, you know, could run from a couple of feet all the way to 60 feet.
Sure.
Where the house line is going to be probably 60 feet.
And the other challenge will be the plumbing in the homes
Yeah.
having lead solder if they were built before a certain time period. So it's a very complex program, but we wanted to let you all know, you know, what we're doing in regard to the EPA regulation. And so we're probably further along than most, because we've done all the desktop, and now we're going to contract. We're going to get a contractor out and do the physical potholing on these 5,000 in the near future. And so what the grant that you all approved in the consent is to go after money to do that pilot program and qualify some of our assumptions.
All right. Thank you. Other questions for Mr. Browning?
Thank you, Leanne.
Anything you want to share regarding the monthly performance status report?
So
The term on target was used like 10 times.
So after the adjustment, the budget adjustment to make up for chemicals and
Electricity.
energy, the revenues are as expected and the expenses are tracking as expected on water, sewer, and trash collection. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Browning? Thank you. Citizens to be heard, we have none. I'm not aware of any. Therefore, we are adjourned. Thank you. Okay, quick question.